Okay, for today's lesson, we're still going to be looking at solving systems of equations just like we have in the past few weeks, but this time we're going to apply them to word problems. So I'm going to give you a word problem, and you're going to set it up using a system of equations and then solve. And one good thing about these is that when we set these up, they're all going to be able to use elimination, so that should at least keep you consistent with solving with the same method, which is the last method that we just did. So let's start with number 1, and I want to go through a few of these examples and show you how to do these, and then I'll let you try a few on a worksheet activity that we have. Let's start by reading the word problem, and then we'll go from there, and we'll talk about the steps. Number 1 says, all 231 students in the French class went on a field trip. Some students rode in vans, which hold 7 students each, and some students rode in buses, which hold 25 students each. How many of each type of vehicle did they use if there were 15 total vehicles? Okay, the first thing we're going to do, step 1, anytime we solve one of these word problems, is to define our variables. And so in every one of these word problems, we're going to have two things that we're trying to solve for. So we're trying to solve for how many of each type of vehicle? Well, in the word problem, we can see there are vans and there are buses. So those are my two types. Now, you can choose if you want to let, for example, I can let V equal vans and B equal buses. Or some people just always use X and Y, and that's fine too. I typically try to go with a letter that tells me something about what it is, or kind of gives me an indication. That way when I'm solving and I give my final answer, if I get V, I know that's vans, and if I get B, I know that's buses. So because I will have to give a final answer of how many vans and how many buses there were. So once you define your variables, then we're going to start and we're going to write our two equations. Now, what I want you to always consider on your first equation, I want you to always try to let your first equation be where you're making a total of how many of these you have. So we have vans and buses, and if we look in our word problem, it tells us there were 15 vehicles total. Total means to add. So that means if you add vans and buses, you get 15. So my first equation is V plus B equals 15, and I need to always do that. The second equation is where we're going to get into more multiplying times vans and buses and trying to figure out the rest of the problem. So if we look at the rest of the problem, we know that some students rode in vans, which hold 7 students each. So 7 students go on each van. And then some students rode in buses, which hold 25 each, so plus 25B. And that has to equal the total number of students, which is all 231. So there is my system. So I've defined my variables, I've written my equations, and now I'm ready to solve. So if I'm ready to solve, I need to be able to eliminate. Let's say we're going to eliminate the V's. Okay, so I'm going to multiply my top equation by -7. And I'm doing that because I want that to cancel out with my V's. So that's going to give me -7V minus 7B equals -15 times 7 would be 105. Okay, bring my other equation straight across. So 7V plus 25B equals 231. Now I'm going to add straight down. Adding straight down makes my V's cancel. So -7B plus 25B is 18B. And -105 plus 231 is 126. Divide both sides by 18. And 126 divided by 18, let me punch that in right quick. Is 7. Couldn't find my calculator, had to do that by hand. So we know that the number of buses is 7 because B equals 7. To find out how many vans, I'm going to take my answer B equals 7, plug it back into my original equation, V plus B equals 15. So if buses is 7, V plus 7 equals 15, so let's subtract 7 on each side, and I get vans equals 8. So to answer my question, and I do need to answer my question, there are 8 vans and 7 buses. And that's the answer to number 1. Okay, number 2. You are running a concession stand at a basketball game. You are selling hot dogs and sodas. Each hot dog cost $1.50. Each soda cost 50 cents. At the end of the night, you made a total of $78.50. You sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. You must report the number of hot dogs sold and the number of sodas sold. How many hot dogs were sold and how many sodas were sold? So I'm going to start by defining my variable. I'm going to let H equal hot dogs, and I'm going to let S equal sodas. Okay, I'm going to start by writing my first equation, which is going to be my total. So if I read in my problem, I see right here I have a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas. So H plus S equals 87. Okay, then I'm going to get into the money or the multiplying. So you are selling hot dogs and sodas. Each hot dog costs $1.50. So a hot dog is $1.50. So we've got $1.50 H plus each soda is 50 cents. So 50 cents times S. And that equals the total money, which is $78.50. So now I've defined my variables, I've written my system, and now it's time to solve. So I want to be able to eliminate the H's. So I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply my top equation by negative 1.50. And that way it'll cancel out here with my H's. So if I do that, I'm going to have negative 1.50H minus 1.50S equals 87 times negative 1.50 is negative 130.50. Okay, let's bring the other equation straight over. 1.50H plus 0.50S equals 78.50. Whoops. Now let's add straight down. Adding straight down will cancel out my H's. Negative 1.50S plus 0.50 S is negative 1S. Negative 130.50 plus 78 is negative 52, .50. Did I do that right? No, I did not. Let's back that up. Negative 130.50, plus 78.50. It's negative 52. Had that on wrong. Okay, dividing both sides by negative 1 will give me S equals 52. So that gives me how many sodas we have. We have 52 sodas. To find out how many hot dogs, we're just going to plug that back in to my original equation. H plus S equals 87. So H plus 52 equals 87. Subtract 52 on both sides, and you end up with H equals 35. So over here I'm going to state my answer. There are 35 hot dogs and 52 sodas that were sold. And there's your answer. Now, I'm not going to get into example 3 yet. We're going to save that for tomorrow, where we're going to look at the coins. It works the exact same way. You don't do anything different, but I'm going to save that for Tuesday's lesson. So I'm going to let you practice some on your worksheet now, and if you have any questions, let me know.